My name is Aura, and I'm the host of Collective Mind, and there's no way that I'm little right now, and you can't prove otherwise. And I have a special guest with me today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Never.
Okay, you're gonna be like Onyx, who
No.
never says hi.
I mean, I'll say hi. My name's Sidus. I'm one of the primary protectors for the Primal Pack.
Yeah. And Sidus has not been on our channel before. Except that we made a version of him in The Sims.
Yeah, that doesn't really count.
That does not count.
I've been a little bit busy inside, sorry.
Yeah.
There's been a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's calmed down some, so
That's good.
here we are.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to do a reaction video today. But instead of reacting to something that's directly about DID, Charlie says hi, we're gonna be reacting to an episode of Sanders Sites, which is a series by Thomas Sanders on YouTube. That has a lot of like parallels to DID, but isn't specifically about DID. So the idea is that he's talking to different sides of his personality, and he personifies them and plays them as different characters. And this series was really, really important to me before I even knew about my system. And I actually started doing some like communications work and getting to know some members of my system through this series before I even knew about the system, and like I used it in therapy and all kinds of stuff, so it's really, really important to me, and I want to react to some of the ones that were especially important to me. Yeah. We also have at least one fictive from this series, and I don't know if he will end up being a part of this reaction series at all, but I guess we'll find out. So for now, we're going to watch the Sanders Sides episode called My Negative Thinking. Oh wait, before I start, I am wearing some Sanders Sides merch because I have a lot of it. This is the cogitating cap. This is like a thinking cap. And this is Logan's logo t-shirt. So I'm repping Logan today. Although I don't think we knew his name yet this early on. My bad. I'm gonna try not to do major spoilers, but I'm definitely gonna accidentally use their names. So sorry about that if you haven't seen the series.
I can tell you're getting excited because you're aging up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. That could also be because someone's getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I haven't even started it yet.
My name is Thomas Sanders, and for my first trick, I will do my impression of a YouTube vlog intro. Beer is yours. No, that's not right. Thank you. What is up, everybody? So, relatable moment time. If you've ever acted or wanted to act or watched High School Musical, you know that in order to be a part of a show, you must first partake in the dreaded audition process. And earlier today, I subjected myself to yet another one of those horrible judge fests. I try to play it off. I try to pretend like it's old hat to go up on stage, announce my name, sing 16 bars, and be done with it. But it can never be that easy, can it? And this most recent audition, I don't know. It was rough. Mistakes were made. I don't even know if I want to think about it. You know what? Yes, I do. Logic!
El príncipe es estúpido.
El príncipe es estúpido. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, you should really give us fair warning before pulling us into one of these vlogs, Thomas.
So one of the things I want to do in this reaction series is point out things that are really good parallels for DID, and this is a good example because canonically in the series, the sides can be busy doing something else even when Thomas isn't interacting with them, which is definitely true in systems, especially systems with inner worlds. 'Cause like if I were to try to get Jade's attention just randomly, she's probably in the middle of doing something. And so I think that's a really cool parallel to DID right there, even though the series isn't intending to parallel DID, but it has a lot of really good parallels for DID. I've actually joked before that it's not trying to be a representation for DID, but it's still one of the best DID representations out there. But yeah, that plus also different alters having very different perspectives on each other and not always participating everything that every other alter brings to the table is also very, very, very common in systems. So, yeah.
Are you learning Spanish? Not really. I am trying to learn a particular phrase in a multitude of languages. And you know, it doesn't really matter. What can I do for you, Thomas? Okay? So I just recently had an audition. Oh, yes, for one of those stage productions for professional make-believe. Yes. And the audition is over. It would seem so. I either get the part or I don't. Yes, that's how it works. Is this new information for you? Or I just want to know, objectively, how did I do? You screwed up. Ah, anxiety! Anxiety, what are you doing here? Yes, this is exactly what you do every time I pop up. Let's just skip that part. We get it. You don't want me here, but I'm here, and this is what I do.
So, this is one of the other big things that was really, really... Like, this might have been the most important part for me in watching this series before learning about my system, is the character of anxiety teaching me a different perspective on Persecutors other than just seeing them as like villains, basically. Because this is a really good example of anxiety is showing up expecting to be unwanted and rejected, and expecting that what he has to bring to the table, what he has to offer, is only a problem and is not wanted by Thomas or any of the other sides. And treating Persecutors that way can cause a lot of problems because it can be hard sometimes to separate their harmful behaviors from like them as individuals. But that's really, really important with dealing with Persecutors. So the whole like character development with anxiety and with the other sides and how they relate to him and how their perspective on him changes throughout the series was extremely important for me to like have in my head before I learned about my system generally.
Oh, I don't think that's all that you did.
You did a bad job, Sanders.
All right. Where specifically did he do a bad job?
Try the beginning. He choked.
Thomas, how many times do I have to tell you? Chew your food.
No,
that's too literal.
He forgot the lyrics.
I forgot the song, Logan. I tripped right out of the gates. Well, you should watch where you're stepping. Just focus on the forgetting the song part.
Way more work than it should be.
Okay, well, would it help you to know that it is not always essential to remember one's lines? It isn't?
When is it ever okay to forget your lines?
In Christopher Nolan's 2008 film The Dark Knight, when Michael Caine first saw Heath Ledger enter as the Joker in all of his makeup, it startled him so much that it caused him to forget his lines. And that take was so organic that it was used in the final cut of the film. Yes!
That is an extremely specific and random fact to call upon for the sake of feeling secure.
Whatever works!
And that's a movie where you have the benefit of picking and choosing the best out of several takes. This is theater, where you only have one shot, and he threw it away.
Oh, you're using Lin-Manuel Miranda's words against me! Logic say something.
So this is another thing that the series overall does really well, in my opinion, is there's almost never like a clearly right and clearly wrong side to whatever topic they're discussing. There's a lot of gray area, and I think that is very realistic to life. Would you agree?
Yeah, but also they do a good job with amnesia barriers of Logan was busy doing his own thing in the inner world and didn't know about the audition at all, and
that's a good point.
Had to have it explained to him, and is offering information based on the first takes of it, because he doesn't have the output of watching Thomas fail and fumble with it that the anxiety does. because anxiety would have been triggered to the front the instant that it happened.
That it started to go wrong, at least, yeah.
They're going to have a completely different perspective.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. I missed that. Thank you.
Fight me.
I mean, it was colorfully phrased, but it's not an unfair point. Why are you asking me for help? I'm not usually your source of positivity. Why not summon Roman? He's your self-confidence, your ego, and he loves these singy, arty, frivolous displays. I'm confused.
I'm not camera ready!
Yeah, Princey was on stage with me the entire time today, and with the performance I gave, let's just say my ego is a bit bruised.
Everything hurts!
Okay, well, how about morality? That cardigan-clad Claude is an unending source of delusional optimism.
Yeah, I'm taking care of Princey here, kiddos.
That is also, like, I relate to that very strongly, of thinking, man, I could really use whatever alters help with something right now, but they're busy with something inside, and they need to prioritize what they're already doing over what I would like help with. That is something that I experience a lot.
Yep. And that also shows a good way of, like, internal people who are taking care of each other and just having a different dynamic for things.
And one of the important things that distinguishes alters from psychosis, like one of the ways that therapists distinguish that, is if alters interact with each other separately and not just like directly with the host. So that's another thing that is a good parallel for DID.
Also, if they continue their lives per se, like that's another distinction factor for psychosis versus like having DID or whatever, is that psychosis tends to be more focused on you, like the voice is talking to just you, or the hallucinations being focused on what you're doing, instead of, Logic was continuing their own life, trying to learn Spanish for their own reasons, etc., etc.
Exactly.
All right, Roman, soup time. Cream of broccoli? I told you I hate.
Never mind, this is delicious. Oh, that is not good. A cream-based broth will upset Princey's stomach.
Logic, focus.
Apologies. So, they are of no help to you whatsoever?
No, right now I'm not feeling too confident or optimistic about my chances. I was hoping that you would tell me that I did good. Objectively.
Yikes. Unfortunately, I cannot do that, Thomas. Perhaps this time you may have to consider that you did not do particularly well. Yeah, it was a train wreck. Time out. That seemed very emotionally charged. What are you talking about? I just said what you said, only more effectively. Ah, I see the issue, Thomas.
What is it?
I now realize there is only one persona here holding sway over your feelings, and they fall quite heavily on the negative end of the spectrum. If you allow your thinking to be influenced too much by negative emotions, then it will lead to cognitive distortions.
Cognitive distortion.
No, cognitive distortions.
Haagen-Dazs dispersion.
Getting further away. Cognitive distortions. I don't know what you're saying. It's when you think things are different than how they actually are.
Oh, like imaginary.
Kind of, but bad imaginary.
No.
So, in my experience, this is very, very common with persecutors. Because it can be really easy to see the same events from very different perspectives. Because alters are coming into everything with different experiences from each other, and therefore often with different perspectives. And I have learned over time that it's often not the persecutor like deliberately trying to lie to whoever they're talking to. They often just actually have that perspective on those events, which was also a really helpful thing for me to learn. That's gonna come up in this video as well, is anxiety isn't trying to make Thomas feel worse about what happened. Anxiety just feels this way about what happened and is trying to like be realistic to Thomas.
Therefore, I must do what I can to guide you towards a more accurate outlook. Of course, when it comes down to it, you take Princey's side.
I'm not taking his side. Did I say I was taking his side? No. Quite honestly, I find both you and Princey to be a little too extra. Vocab word. Yes, I've been studying.
So proud of you.
I cannot make you feel better with positive or comforting words, but I can work to bring a clearer vision of the entire situation that this corner of the room is obscuring.
I would write an angsty sonnet illustrating my contempt for you if I actually cared enough about what you were saying right now.
Okay, well, Logan, what do you propose? Anxiety seems to be swaying you with his reasoning, so I will attempt to do the same in the only civil way I know how. A debate. Good afternoon from the Sanders Mind Palace Center. I am Thomas Sanders, your supplier of semi-humorous Tumblr posts at 3 in the morning.
So this, I believe, is the first example in the series of them entering what seems to be an inner world. There are more examples of this later in the series, but they are continuing their conversation inside an inner world would be the DID comparison for this. Which helped that whole idea of an inner world when I started learning about that and my system not be quite as overwhelming to me. So, yeah.
Morning, and I welcome you to the first and hopefully only 2017 emotionally compromised debate between Secretary of Logical Defense Logan and Supreme Dark Overlord of Negative Commerce. I'm afraid I'm going to need your name.
No.
Nah, worth a shot. Anxiety. This debate is sponsored by the National Essential Reasoning Department, or NERD. Or we do not have to abbreviate it, and the Public Humiliation Foundation.
I'm a monthly donor.
The format has been determined by Logan.
Rigged.
4 one-minute segments centering around recent personal events that trouble me greatly. Please help me. Keep calm. Carry on. You're right. I'm an adult. Me, big boy. Nope. Each debater will have 30 seconds to answer their question, followed by a response from their opponent. Are we clear on the rules?
This is stupid.
Say it's making fun of me.
Why?
She said that Thomas trying to convince himself that he was an adult was like me at the beginning of this video.
Yeah.
Rude.
Literally.
Rude!
Also, can you go back to when he's introducing everybody just a little bit?
I'm a monthly donor.
Back.
Before then?
Anxiety. This debate is sponsored by the
Okay,
National
can
Essential
you pause for a
Reasoning.
sec? So, you kind of skipped over that. I didn't know if you wanted to make a point of it, but Thomas's communication with anxiety is okay enough that he can communicate, but not good enough that he knows everything about him. He knows Logan's name, but he doesn't know anxiety's name, and he can't force it. It's up to anxiety to share, and that kind of amnesia barrier is completely up to the alter who sets it. So if an alter doesn't want to share their name, you're not going to know their name or get it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And they don't have to. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like someone IRL. They don't have to share their name with you.
Yeah. That's extremely common in our system for alters that I meet for the first time to not share their name right away. It's also fairly common in our system for alters to not have a name or to not like their name or what they've been called for a while and to want to choose a name at some point early on after me meeting them. So, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Me, big boy. Nope. Each debater will have 30 seconds to answer their question, followed by a response from their opponent. Are we clear on the rules?
This is stupid.
Let the debate begin. Anxiety, the first question goes to you.
Too much pressure. No.
Yesterday, I was texting someone who I liked very much. They made me feel itty-bitty butterflies in my tummy and sunshine in my heart. Ugh. At one point in the conversation, they suddenly stopped replying to me. My question to you is, do they hate me?
Definitely.
Interesting. Would you care to elaborate?
I mean, why else would they not reply to you? People use their phones for everything these days. Do you honestly believe there's any chance that this person didn't see your text? You were probably just annoying them the whole time, and they were replying just to be nice. And then that got boring.
Logic, your response? Thomas, this sounds to me like a prime example of the cognitive distortion known as jumping to conclusions, or inference observation confusion. There could be a multitude of reasons why they didn't reply, especially when you were unaware of how they were feeling, what was going on while they were texting, their battery life.
How much they hate you.
I will waited for my turn to speak. Please do not disrespect the sanctity of the rules that we just made up just now. As I was saying, it is very easy for one to draw conclusions from limited data, but that is a fool's errand. The information that you have is as follows. You were conversating. Humans typically socialize with other humans that they enjoy, and for some unknown reason, the conversation abruptly ended. Does this individual dislike you? That's TBD.
Totally believable, dude.
To be determined. Okay. Well, those are very important things to consider, so thank you, Logan.
My argument was more convincing.
Falsehood. Next question, we start with Logan. I am ready. Last week, I had planned to be super productive, get a whole bunch of tasks finally taken care of, and be ahead in life. All thanks to my proposed efficiency plan that was voted on. Yes! However, certain tasks were never gotten around to, and the plan wasn't as successfully carried out as I would have.
I want to point out the fact that they voted on it, because that is extremely relatable to me, because we have a system of executives, like a group of executive alters who vote on major decisions. So I just wanted to point that out because that reminded me of the way that we do things. And because I hadn't said anything in a while. And I'm trying not to fall into just enjoying watching the video.
Yeah. This is also just a very clear representation of what it's like to talk to someone who doesn't have anxiety or isn't anxious about that situation,
Yeah.
and can't understand why you are.
Right.
And their arguments are, yes, I know you might think that they hate us because they didn't respond, but like logically they could be doing something else. It's like, yes, but my feelings are this.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, but that doesn't make it easier.
Exactly.
Hoped. Was it all a waste? No, not necessarily.
That's not a straight answer.
Can I finish?
Well, are you going to answer a question
Can
honestly?
I finish my
Is that,
statement?
like, are you
I
going
was
to
making
do
a
that?
statement.
Because
If
I'm
you
waiting
let
for
me
you to give
finish
an
my
honest,
statement,
straight-up
I
answer.
can at
You're
least,
just going
gentlemen, we're
mind
trying to
that
carry
I'm
on,
not
trying to
listening
debate a little bit.
what you're talking
Listen,
about.
if
Like,
you can't
seriously,
play by
man.
the rules,
Gentlemen,
if
if I
we
could just get
cannot
back
do
on
this
task
debate
with
any
the
further,
ridiculous
I was
talk
trying to
the
make a
language
statement
here.
order to this.
The plain answer to that question.
So that is a very, very familiar experience to me of a lot of alters being close and there being some type of chaos going on, and that can be very overwhelming and chaotic like that. I just wanted to point that out.
Yep. It's also very common for people who are emotionally, I can't think of the word. Like emotionally vulnerable, compromised.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common for people who are emotionally compromised or invested in a topic to agree to a set of rules and then be upset by those rules and end up not listening to them.
Yeah.
It's been super common with dealing with persecutors in a collective system if they front or whatever, where they'll agree to a certain set of rules as long as they're winning, and as soon as they stop winning or they don't have a fantastic defense, they just rebound against the rules because they're upset about it.
Yeah, and because they feel threatened.
Which isn't fair.
True. But it still helps me to have that perspective on it, generally speaking.
What?
To try to keep in mind the types of things that are motivating them, and that they are typically not trying to cause harm, or if they are, they for some reason think that that level of harm is worth it and is protecting against worse harm.
Yeah.
Thomas, is that you did not follow through with that plan. Therefore, yes, it was a waste.
See, Logan, I even used your reasoning to come to that conclusion. Okay, that was your turn. Now it's my turn. Thomas, did you complete all that you set out to do? No, but you are leaving out a lot of the things that you did get done. This act of ignoring the positives is called mental filtering, and it is not healthy. Give yourself credit for the things that were accomplished. Thank you, Logan.
This is unfair. You're rooting against me, and you're the moderator.
Aw, what's the matter, Anxiety? Are you worried that your silver tongue will land you in second place? I'm sorry, did he just hiss at me? I do that when I start reaching my limit with stupid questions.
Couple things. One is Logan. This is one of the earlier examples of Logan clearly not being totally unswayed by emotions. And this is a common thing that I have seen, at least in our system, of alters oversimplifying aspects of themselves, of their own like personality traits and things like that, and also what am I trying to say?
I don't know. Why are you asking me? I can't read your mind.
You usually can.
I'm not reading your mind on video. I'm not having video evidence that I can do that.
That's fair.
The government will come for me. Can you re-say what you said?
I've seen a lot before of alters in our system, at least, oversimplifying their own like personality traits and leaving some information out, particularly information that they might feel makes them more vulnerable. And Logan convincing himself that he is entirely logical and not at all swayed by emotions reminds me of that. I think that's the big thing that I was trying to say. Because I do think that Logan genuinely believes he is not swayed by emotions and doesn't notice the evidence that contradicts that. But he's clearly getting emotionally invested in this debate. But the other thing that I wanted to point out is Virgil hissing right there reminds me of non-human alters, especially alters who are sometimes non-human or sometimes act more animalistic than other times. Sometimes if they're especially emotional or if they're age sliding or things like that, can act non-human, and that just reminded me of that. Like, I think I act more animalistic when I'm little, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And when I'm overwhelmed.
Yep.
Which also makes me more likely to be little.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bear with me a little longer. Anxiety. This morning I went to go get a coffee, and the barista was extremely charming. Ugh, charming. Things were going really well, there was some witty banter, and then at the inevitable, "Enjoy your coffee," I replied with, "You too." Did I? You blew it, and you're a moron. Ah, that's what I thought. Moving on. Wait, do I not get a turn? I don't think it's really necessary. His argument was pretty airtight. Boom. No, it wasn't. See, what you just did there, what anxiety is having you do, is called magnifying. Taking one or a couple minuscule, possibly unfortunate moments and making them out to be bigger than they were. It sounds like the rest of the exchange went how an optimal courtship should be conducted. I mean, I guess. He just wants us to ignore the important facts, the ones that matter. Falsehood! That is what you were doing. Oh, so you admit they're important. Okay. You know what? What are you doing? I am writing you a prescription for a figurative chill pill. Okay, let's move on. Last issue I will throw out for open discussion. I posted a video recently that did not do as well as a lot of my other videos. Is this the beginning of the end for me? Well, now, you can't argue with numbers. It could very well be. Time to panic and or cry.
I quote that line all the time. I just wanted to point that out. That might be one of my favorite lines from the whole series.
Which one?
Time to panic and or cry.
Yep.
I feel that. Deep in my soul.
Preposterous. Your mom is preposterous. I'm ignoring you. What you're doing there, Thomas, is called overgeneralizing. You're letting one less than ideal event speak for any and all future events, and that is a pointless venture. Your mom is pointless. Let's leave the mothers out of this, all right? Especially considering the fact that neither of you have a mother. If she did exist, she'd be preposterous and pointless. Falsehood! Excuse me. All I'm saying is that this is not the first time a video has underperformed. In the past, has any specific video's lack of popularity ever been indicative of a trend towards failure? I guess not. Your life has proven to have its peaks and valleys, but those valleys always eventually lead to peaks again. So true. You know what? I've had enough of this. None of this makes any difference. You know why? Because I'm right and you're wrong. That is why. Savage. Wait, why are you complimenting him?
Was that familiar to you at all? As far as the way our persecutors react toward the end of a conversation, particularly with you?
Somewhat, but they more so just run away.
none of this matters because I'm right and you're wrong. And
I mean,
I'm leaving
that
now.
part, yes, kind of, but they more so just, I've run out of arguments, and you know what? Nyeh, and then walk off. And
basically,
they don't have the conversation, and I'm not going to force them to, because I can't. And even if I could, I still wouldn't, but...
Yeah, also a little bit earlier when Virgil accuses Logan of something, and Logan immediately turns around and says, no, that's what you're doing, which is a very common, it's actually a gaslighting tactic, but accusing the other person of the thing that you're doing is another thing that our persecutors attempt a lot.
Yeah. And also the name calling.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Double also, the whole, oh no, this video didn't take off immediately, our YouTube is crashing, is your literal perspective every time you post a video.
Well,
you watch the analytics for like the next 2 hours to see how many people watch it, how fast, and determine if your career is going to end immediately.
Just because that's completely true doesn't mean you have to say it.
I agree. It doesn't mean I have to, but I did enjoy saying it.
Share this video with your friends to preserve my self-esteem. Just kidding. But you should definitely share it with your friends if you like it, because that's just a nice thing for your friends.
Uh-huh.
And for me.
Uh-huh.
Anyway.
Saying that he's acting like an aggressive, brainless savage. Oh no, is that another contemporary slang word I have to learn? Okay, I cannot keep up with these. Here, I'm ready to give my closing statement. This is stupid. He's stupid. I'm out. Okay, he's throwing a tantrum. I do not engage with tantrum throwers. Scenario over. That was my dream space.
Can you... Yeah, I was going to ask if you could pause that.
Because that's exactly what we just described that our persecutors do.
Partially, but at the same time, Logan is not listening at all to anxiety.
This is true.
The reason anxiety is devolving and escalating is because they're not feeling heard or listened to or understood in any way whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Logan is just like, your anxiety, your feelings are irrelevant because they're pointless. They're not based in reality. They don't fit in my perspective. Therefore, I'm going to discount them and disprove them and shut down your entire being. And while it may be true, while what logic says or Logan says is true, or some of it is true, it doesn't matter if it's reality or not. Your feelings are valid. They exist. Feelings are not always inherently rooted in logic.
Yeah.
There is always logic behind them. In anxiety's logic is, our numbers were not as good, we're going to fail. That's a very logical thought. It is one of the technical possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the most logical? No. There is a reason behind the thought process. And making a persecutor feel heard, or someone who is struggling, understanding it from their perspective and not just defeating them, is key to developing a relationship with them and helping them come around to reality or whatever else, because they feel the way they do. Almost every child that I know, or every person, especially in their teens, it's the canonic thing for teens to, nobody understands what I'm going through.
Sorry, I'm trying not to switch with Virgil.
It's fine, but like, teens almost always say, you can't understand my struggle. You don't know what I'm going through. You wouldn't get it. And that's because they're not being heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks. It really sucks to not feel heard and not feel understood. And Thomas understands what anxiety is saying and also understands what logic is saying. But because logic is the person who is trying to be in control and fix things, logic not understanding it is causing a huge rift with the rest of it, because it's semi-disconnected from the rest of itself.
Yeah.
How dare you? Was it really getting us anywhere? Actually, I think maybe it did. How?
Well, when I messed up during the audition today, I thought the director immediately hated me, but that may have been me jumping to a conclusion. Correct.
You forgot the song. That's the whole thing.
True, but when I was given that second chance, I did pretty well. I may have been magnifying that one mistake to seem bigger than it was. I have to try not to mentally filter out the good parts of my audition, the parts I can look back on and feel proud of. You learning things is the closest I will ever be to feeling love.
Great, so you've reasoned your way through today. Well, what's going to happen if and when you find out you are not cast in this show?
Well, I'll be bummed, but I won't overgeneralize. One bad audition doesn't speak for everything that I have to offer.
Can you pause?
I'm capable of doing.
And that is the perfect example of Thomas being the more, not sophisticated, but the better communicator in this situation of he's siding with nobody and understanding both.
Yeah.
He's taking a little bit of what the other person says because they made good points, but not overgeneralizing all that logic said, because logic was not all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he did mess up. He validated anxiety's feelings in that moment. He made anxiety feel heard in that moment, which is why anxiety is not escalating. They're moving on to their next point. They're continuing instead of getting stuck and turning to insults like your mom or something like that.
Yeah.
He is completely validating what anxiety is feeling and then continuing on with it. It's the acceptance thing, the radical acceptance of, yes, this happened, it sucked, but we're moving on.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing that happens after that. Yeah, we screwed up the first setup, but we got a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
And what about that second chance? It went well, right? Anxiety says, yeah, but we fucked up the first one. Doesn't matter. Because we got another one. It's just, that's a very good way to communicate, and that helps people feel understood, is that important, validating what they feel without saying that they're right.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everybody feels something, and they're valid for what they feel. You could feel like, I am the worst person in the world. That's okay. You're allowed to feel that. That doesn't mean it lines up with reality. That doesn't mean you have to act on it. Your feelings exist.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to deny them or shove them down is never healthy. And trying to deny other people's feelings just helps them feel invalidated and unwanted and rejected. So it's super important to make people feel heard.
Virgil likes you.
Cool.
Doing better. And I will. Well done, Thomas. A+ for today. No, well done to you, sir. And anxiety?
Save your insults. I'm just gonna deck out.
Actually, I was going to tell you that was a good debate today.
What? What do you mean?
I mean, you did a good job.
How? I was barely trying. I hissed at you.
Yes, I must admit that is a fairly uncommon debate tactic, but despite you clearly not enjoying taking part, you still participated, you offered your points, and you even reasoned in your own way. And all of that is commendable.
This is so pure.
Can you pause again?
I
And that's an excellent point of having someone else on the outside. Like, if you have a disagreement between two people, Thomas was the quote-unquote voice of reason. Despite Logan being the logic person, Thomas was the person who was able to rationalize between the 2 points and help Logan see that what anxiety was saying was not all bad.
Yep.
That anxiety had logic. It just wasn't Logan's logic. And that doesn't mean it was wrong. It was their own logic. And respecting the other person. This is a great example of how you can respect someone you disagree with.
Yes.
Logan doesn't agree with anxiety on this, but he respects the individual. He did a good job on the debate.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the same thing as you don't agree with what Hitler did, but he was a very influential leader. He was a fantastic leader. He swayed an entire nation. And what he did was horrible, but how he did it, there can be some lessons learned in that. There is no such thing as only bad or only good.
Yeah.
He did a majority of bad, but there was some good things. And it's important to not have a black and white thinking about someone, because people are never black or white. There's always gray area.
Yeah.
Everything is gray.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't really know how to react to you complimenting me.
And that's
kind of thought you
key
didn't
too.
like me. Especially after last time when you called me a defeatist.
Well, you are wrong about a lot of things, but I don't necessarily mind your company. The other two can bring in a whole lot of sunshine, and that can be unbearable. And I can't imagine having a debate with either one of them.
I guess I just kind of assumed that
You jumped to a conclusion.
just talking about this, weren't we? Touche. Thanks.
Glad to see you guys working some things
And
out.
we didn't work
Pause
anything
again.
out.
He's stubborn as ever.
That's a great part for anxiety in that moment, of realizing that, the point you made earlier actually applies to things, but it needed to get past the heated debate point, and anxiety needed to feel understood before they could apply those feelings to themselves.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just going to come across as an attack into
Exactly.
someone like anxiety, who is, they don't want to be hurt, and they're just used to being hurt.
Yeah.
They're going to respond defensively, and that's not their fault. That's just a trauma defense. People don't like being hurt, and especially if they feel like it's an attack. And you don't have to disarm your opponent, but it is important to be able to notice if someone is feeling defensive, so you can try to calm down and take it slower and explain in a different manner that's not attacking their personality or their entire being.
Yeah.
And in the end, even the comment of Roman and what's the other guy's name?
Patton.
Like those two, they're super sunny, but the contrast is important.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you are in life, there's going to be pain or darkness of some kind at some point. But that's not inherently bad. Including with systems, there's a lot of negative that comes with it. There's trauma, flashbacks, etc. And those give you a very unique perspective on life. Because without knowing darkness, you can't know light, kind of thing. I'm not saying to be grateful for trauma. No, that's bullshit. Don't ever be grateful for trauma. It's shit. It's trauma. But you can, through time, for sure, use some of your trauma to have a different perspective and make the best of a bad situation, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have really good people reading skills most of the time. And that came from being incredibly emotionally abused.
Yeah.
And because of that, I'm good at reading people for their emotions and where that leads. But I have really good pattern recognition because of that. And because I've gotten through as much therapy as I personally have, I'm able to use that to help others now. And my unique perspective has been so helpful to others without, like, people realizing it. And it's because of things like what just happened. Communicating and making people feel accepted and heard. It's so important, especially in a system.
Sorry. I'm still trying not to switch with Virgil.
You're good.
And
we have like a minute left.
Because he's obviously being positively triggered by all of this.
I
He's
don't
also
know
positively
if you want
triggered
to
by
say
these
that,
headphones.
or if they want to say that.
What do you mean?
They never said Anxiety's name in the video.
I've been calling him Virgil the whole time.
I know. And also, I didn't know if Virgil was okay with being outed as the alter.
Yeah, I checked that with him.
Okay. It just wasn't established, so I wasn't going to continue it. I've been trying really hard to just call him Anxiety.
I do want to point out, I am only trying not to switch with him because A, he doesn't want to switch, and B, he's mute, so that would be complicated for us while filming a video.
Yeah.
If he were to switch.
You want to finish the video out real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, moment of reprieve over as soon as it began. But
I feel that.
I do think that I have more of an accurate handle on the whole situation, and I hope that for any troublesome moments that occur in your lives, you are able to remember these tips so that you don't let negative thinking cloud your perception of them. Until next time, take it easy, guys, gals, and non-binary pals.
Sorry.
You're good.
We completely glossed over this fact. You kind of touched on it, but I didn't really add to it, is that when Logan and Anxiety show up, Thomas went inside. He stopped fronting. Whether he was dissociating or whatever, he went inside.
Yeah.
And the moment those two disappeared, he went back to the front. Right now, he would be fronting again, per se. Because he wasn't dissociating anymore. He wasn't having that internal monologue and dialogue.
Yeah.
He came back from it, grounded whatever, got through the thought spiral, and now he's back in the front as the host.
Yeah.
Peace out. It's interesting. What? Now that we're at a little bit of a standstill, I finally feel a sense of peace in this household. I guess. The atmosphere is calm, the air is tranquil, and it finally feels like we are at a point of higher, sophisticated thinking. I'm back. Did you miss me? Your mom misses you. I'm sorry. While that was savage, it was a little extra. What did you do to him? Logic? Now, where did you learn such childish humor?
That's amazing. That ending was fantastic.
I'm so happy you liked it.
No, it was fantastic because it shows Logic growing as a person and like turning from a one-sided person who means well but has some not great habits to having empathy and emotion and understanding, and that's fantastic. They would make a great protector, and honestly they would make one of the best primary protectors because most of their thinking is rooted in logic, but they are capable of change and understanding non-logic things.
If he got better at delegating.
They make a great effort towards it as well.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. And like if that were someone in a system, I would be so proud of them for making that change, and like I just want to give them a hug and tell them how proud I am. Cuz like just damn. Good job.
I am over the moon that you enjoyed the video.
Yeah, I haven't ever watched Sanders Sides. I've only
I
seen
forgot to
Thomas
say that at the
Sanders
beginning.
Vines before. I've never actually seen Sanders Sides.
This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah? It already was fun.
Yeah.
The video's over, so I don't think it's going to be more fun.
There's plenty more videos.
Also, I like your recommendations are just Thomas Sanders or Markiplier. Really shows
literally
what you've
only.
been watching lately. It's just tons of Markiplier and Thomas Sanders.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed making it and watching it. I love Sanders Sides. I will link the video in the description. It's a fantastic video. I would recommend you watch it over and over and over like I have, but only if you want to, of course. But Thomas is awesome, and he has a lot of great content, and you should check him out if you, for some reason, have been living under a rock and haven't checked him out before. Anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell if you liked it and want to see more. We will be doing more Sanders Sides reaction videos in the future, so make sure to keep an eye out for those. And there are links in the description for this video, like I said, but also for our Discord server and our Etsy shop, and our Twitter, which we started pretty recently if you want to follow us on Twitter. And then I think that's it. So thank you for watching. Bye!